Welcome to Refresh Daily Podcast, where you will find tips, strategies, and encouragement to help you find a way to get more joy in your everyday life and to build an authentic creative practice that will lift your spirit and leave you feeling fabulous. Hi, I'm Dawn Herring, creative visionary and strategist and founder of Refresh with Dawn Herring, where finding joy takes center stage.
Are you ready to listen to the message you are given that tells you what will make your heart sing? Pay close attention and create yourself a haven of delight and jubilation for your days.
Vibrant color, hand lettering, and illustration done by hand. I'm Dawn Herring, and I am now offering Dawn's Dynamic Designs hand lettering and illustration service for your small business brand and for your products and services. I create vibrant images, hand lettered and illustrated, in my studio, and I provide this for your marketing and for your website and your blog. If you're interested in having a discussion with me about how we can create vibrant images for your small business, please contact me at dawnherring.net and go to Dawn's Dynamic Designs hand lettering and illustration on my website. I look forward to connecting with you and discussing what your needs are as a small business owner so that you can have the kind of images that you want to promote your small business and your products and services. Welcome to episode 7, When You Know. I'm excited to have Aubry Hoffman, the founder of the Queen of Intuition podcast, join us today as we discuss the importance and impact listening to our intuition can have on our creative and spiritual practices, and how by paying attention to our inner knowings, we can initiate positive change that leads to personal empowerment, thus enabling us to leave our meaningful mark in the world. This is our second conversation together after Aubry interviewed me for the Queen of Intuition podcast. I'm delighted to be having this very important discussion and welcome you to listen in and be inspired to activate your own intuition and make it an important element in your creativity and life. Do enjoy.
Welcome to Refresh Daily Podcast. I'm Dawn Herring, founder of Refresh with Dawn Herring, where finding joy takes center stage. And today I'm recording audio for the podcast as well as video. And I have a fabulous guest with me today. Her name is Aubry Hoffman. She is the founder of the Queen of Intuition podcast. Yes, and we initially found each other on Instagram. And she interviewed me on her podcast. And so now I'm interviewing her for Refresh Daily. And I'm so excited to have you with us today, Aubry. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, Dawn, I mean, when you asked me, I was like, yes, another conversation with Dawn. Sign me up. If you guys haven't had a chance to listen to the interview I did with Dawn, it's amazing. So you should check it out. But yeah,
yes, I will have a link for the interview in the show notes. Yes, yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yes, awesome. So I wanted to talk to you about intuition, since that is your power tool, if you will. And I would like you to share with our listeners as well as our viewers how you became more aware of your intuition and how you initially tapped into it. When did that start to happen for you, and what kind of an impact has that had on your creative and spiritual practices? I would love to hear this story.
Yes. Okay. So, I mean, I saw that you wanted to ask this question, and really, Dawn, it was probably how I was brought up from a very young age. My family was very religious. And so there was always, I don't really identify necessarily with being religious now, but I grew up very religious. And there was always this underlying tenet that there is wisdom and knowledge and health and information information available to you if you just ask. And so, you know, I talk to people that are religious for my podcast, and a lot of people consider their intuition spirit or God or you know, whatever you want to call it. So for me, I think it started out as maybe a relationship with a higher power, and it still is in a way. But I think from a very young age, I was just in the habit of becoming quiet and listening for the information that was available beyond what I see with my eyes,
Right.
you know?
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
does
So
that
it
make
started
sense?
with you. Yeah, so it started with you when you were a young child.
For
So wow,
sure,
you've been
yes.
tapping into this for a long time then. That's
Yeah.
really fascinating. That's really
Yeah.
fascinating.
And I think also, with my upbringing, like we had a lot of time, just as it happened as kids. I'm the oldest of five. I had a lot of time alone. We grew up on a farm in Nebraska in the middle of nowhere, and we were also
Mm,
homeschooled. So we
yes.
weren't like leaving the house and going every day. So I spent a lot of time in nature and a lot of time alone. And, maybe there's pros and cons to that, but I look back on it as all positive, because it gave me so much time to again connect with that intuition that I think really starts speaking to us when we slow down and get quiet, and
Mm,
always when we get out in nature. So
yes.
I had to
Oh,
just really,
I'm totally a
yeah,
nature buff. You know me.
yeah, I know. I
I
love,
know.
yeah,
I'm always out there taking video and stuff, of the bird's flight and all that kind of. Oh, yes, absolutely. Nature is the
yeah,
perfect place to tap into your intuition. And I totally understand the importance of being quiet, of getting
yeah,
quiet and really paying close attention and listening to that higher voice that's inside of all
yes,
of us. I like to refer to it as our inner GPS that we've been all been gifted with, that we don't
yes.
use near enough or trust near enough.
I know.
Absolutely. So
Mm,
I'm so thrilled to hear that this has been a longer journey for you, and that this has
yes.
not just been a short-term thing, but that it's been ongoing from your childhood. That's really, really fascinating.
Yeah, I feel
So
like I've always had a really close connection with my intuition, but I will say in the past few years, I've made a
yes.
whole new commitment, which is sort of the birthing of
Ah,
my podcast. I've made a whole new commitment to listen. And I love that you say internal GPS. I've made a whole new commitment to listen to that internal GPS.
yes,
Um, yeah,
absolutely. It
yeah,
really
because go ahead, go ahead.
I was going to say that I noticed that when I keep track of my intuitive impulses, that it helps me to keep track of what works and what doesn't work. And that helps give you that track record, and that,
Yeah,
that visible, wow, I followed my intuition and it actually worked. And I'm so
yes.
excited about how much that worked. Now, let me ask you this. I know that you have some creative and spiritual practices that you follow. How did your intuition come into play with that, and what are the things that you do in your creative practice? I'm so excited to talk to you about this.
Yeah, well, I mean, Dawn, I know you're going to love this, because how I said that a couple years ago I made a whole new commitment to really listening to myself, and that
Yes.
commitment was born out of my own practice of journaling.
Oh,
So,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
I knew
yes,
you would love that. I
yes.
knew you would love that. So, I mean,
Awesome.
maybe you've heard of like morning pages. Have you ever
Oh,
heard of?
yes, Julia
Yeah,
Cameron. Yes. Yep.
yeah, I was forgetting her name. So
Hmm.
I read that book, The Artist's Way. Is that the name of it?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
so
the name
that's
of
a
it.
great,
Yep.
if you're listening or watching, that is a great book to pick up. But
Yes, that is a good tone. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
I read that, almost 10 years ago, but I've
Wow.
been doing morning pages for a really long time, but I never really went back and read them. So a couple years ago, I went back and I was sort of reading through, and I'm like, wow, so many times I was writing about my intuition, and hey, I knew this was going to happen, and why didn't I listen? And I knew I shouldn't have done this, or I knew I should have done this, and I started tracking, just like what you were saying, like, wow, I know. I know, and I
There
haven't
you
been
go.
listening to what I know, and it was only through journaling, and writing every day, going back and seeing that pattern. So,
Yes, yes.
yeah,
Journaling is an awesome tool to help us not only keep track of those intuitive impulses and how they work, but journaling is a power tool in and of itself because it gives us
yeah,
clarity and it helps us to see and connect with who we really are. So that is so awesome that journaling has played such a vital role in you tapping more deeply and more regularly into your intuition. That is so
yeah.
awesome.
And I
So,
think a lot of times people think like journaling, people hear that so much that you think, oh, it can't be that special. It can't be that spectacular. It has to be harder than that. It has to be more complicated than just writing some words down, but it's really not. There's something really powerful that happens putting that pen to a piece of paper, and what comes out, I believe a lot of times what comes out is your intuition flowing through onto the paper. So it seems like a simple practice, you guys. And I know, if you've been hanging around Dawn, you know that she's a big journaler too. But
Oh, yes.
yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there. It seems really simple, or maybe too simple, but it's extremely effective.
It's simple, but it's profound. And the
Yeah.
more regular you are with it, the more you benefit from it. And
Yes.
I'm so glad that Aubry here is awesomely dedicated to a journaling practice, and that it has had such a powerful impact in her creative and spiritual lives. This is awesome.
Totally.
So what
Totally.
other things do you do besides journaling that our viewers can check out and learn
Okay.
from?
Okay. So yoga. I've been doing yoga for 10 years. I've been teaching yoga for
Oh, oh, I'm sorry. Oop. Sorry about that interruption. There was a little interruption with my internet. That's okay. We can just continue.
Oh,
We're
okay,
good.
yeah, no
We're good.
worries.
Go ahead.
I'll just say it again, but yoga, I've been practicing yoga for 10 years and teaching for almost 10 years. And
Wow.
it doesn't have to be, you don't have to do fancy poses and stand on your head and do all this stuff you see in yoga magazines. I do about 20 minutes a day, but it's a way to get back into my body and get out of my head. So any sort of practice you can come up with, meditation, yoga, prayer, whatever it is to get you off the wheel, into your body.
Yeah, I know. You talk about that quite a bit on your Instagram stories and in your podcast
Yeah.
about getting into the body and why that's such a vitally important way to get out of our head and even into our heart. Because
Yeah.
when we're really paying attention to our bodies and what our bodies are telling us, oh my gosh, that could just open up a whole new pathway for well-being and for powerful strategies and delight and
And
joy
delight.
in our lives.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Delight and joy. Yeah. The body is this beautiful thing. I think so many of us, we have our brains and we have our bodies and forget that they're one and the same. And for me, always my body will let me know. If I'm not listening to my intuition, my body will let me know. I always tell this story of when I started the podcast, I was having what would be considered fibromyalgia pain. I thought my mom had fibromyalgia. I thought, oh, here I am. I'm 36. I have fibromyalgia as well.
Mm.
It was stress, but it was stress caused by not listening to my intuition. And
Oh,
so,
right.
but I will say, Dawn, I understand people have pain right now and they're going through illnesses, and it's not always as simple as, well, if you listen to your intuition, your pain would go away. It's not.
No, I understand that.
It's
Yes.
not, and I'm not saying that it's
Yep.
not always that simple, but for me, it was like, oh, we can listen and we can meditate and we can all this stuff, do all these things, but what is your body trying to tell you? Where are you holding tension? Where are the aches and the pains? Where your body's always trying, or I say your intuition is speaking to you through your body.
Yes, absolutely. And when we pay really close attention to those vibes that we're getting, whether we're tensed up or whether we're open, whether we feel good tingling sensations over something we're excited about, or whether we're feeling dragged down and contracted. I know it's incredibly important that we pay attention to those body signals and really ask our bodies, what do you need right now? And really listen to what it tells us. I know I love doing that in my journal. So totally tapping into the body, and yoga being such an awesome way to really get in touch with that. I know I should probably try to learn a couple of simple yoga poses for myself and start incorporating that into my daily routine. You'll have to show me how there.
I'll show you how. Actually, I got inspired this morning because I was walking along and I'm like, oh, I'm having trouble listening to my intuition because there's just so much information coming in from the outside, from social media, from Instagram, from everyone else. I'm like, what is wanting to come through me? Like, what is my intuition saying? And I just got this inspiration to do a Queen of Intuition meditation and yoga series that I would just do for free. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of coming. But it's interesting, Dawn, when you decide to do something like I do this podcast on intuition, it's like life is giving me all these opportunities all the time to listen to intuition.
Yes, absolutely. I know. And the more you do it, the better it gets, because it's like you're amplifying it because you're trusting it and you're believing in it.
Yes,
Yes,
you're having
absolutely.
repeated experiences being right with that knowing. And I will share one more thing that I is one of my favorite things to do. So if you're listening or you're watching, one of these things will resonate with you. Maybe it's the journaling, maybe it's the yoga, maybe it's the meditation, maybe you need to get out in nature more. But for me, a lot of times I have trouble listening to my intuition because I'm too up here. So I'm
Mhm.
going through all these stories and all these beliefs and all these to-dos and all these things. So I have to turn this off for a little bit to hear what else wants to come through. And one of the best ways for me to clear that internal chatter is to dance.
Oh,
So
I
this is
love that.
one of my favorite
Absolutely.
practices. And I do go out and dance times with other people, but I put on my favorite music and for 10 or 15 minutes, I'll just dance
Oh
alone in
my
my own living room, in my
gosh.
own office. And then I'm done dancing and I'll sit down at my computer or I'll sit down at my journal there's a lot more flow once I've sort of
Oh, I can imagine.
moved a
Yes.
little.
You know, I kind of feel that way because I have a practice that I follow in my spiritual practice where, and I brought it with me just in case it was appropriate.
Yay! You know I love your tambourine.
I love to sing and play my tambourine when I have my spiritual practice in the morning. And when I'm done with that portion of my time before I do my songwriting later on, oh my gosh, I feel amazing after I
Yeah.
do that. I just do. And that's why, because I'm getting into my body, I'm up on my feet, and I'm enjoying
Yes.
myself, and I'm tapping in to and connecting with spirit. Is just awesome. So I
Yes.
totally get the dance. I totally get the
Yes.
dance and
It's
really
the
getting
same
into that.
thing.
That
Yeah.
is so much fun. That is so much fun.
Tambourine. I really need to write on my board right now because you inspired me. I'm like, that'd be so fun to dance and have a tambourine. I was thinking that last time. I'm like, but anyways, I'm literally right down on my note sheet, like
Yeah, there
tambourine.
you go. The tambourine is so much fun. It just is. It's a
Yeah.
great
And
way to,
anyone can do it, you know, you
oh,
just,
of course. Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. You just follow the beat. You just follow the beat
Yes.
and get into it. Absolutely.
Yes.
You know, you had mentioned, I had watched you when you were doing a podcast episode, and you were talking about collage and writing down what you want
Yes.
in your life. Could you get into that a little bit?
Yes. Yes.
I would love to hear
We
that.
Yes, we are always giving the universe information about what we want based on what we're thinking about the most.
Mm.
And so part of my work and part of my own practice has to really um, examine my thoughts and what am I thinking about the most, and realizing that what's coming into my life is a direct reflection of what I've been spending the most amount of my time thinking about.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
this whole idea of neuroplasticity, that you can literally rewire your brain, like, so one of my huge practices has been to write down all of the beliefs I have that are limiting, that aren't serving me, um, and to write new stories. And one of the ways I reprogram my brain with these new stories is, yes, vision boards and collage and sticky notes. If you were to be in my house right now, I have, different colored sticky notes all over. I have them. I have one down in my kitchen right now, right by my toaster, that says, "This is my time. I am open and receiving and ready for the next step." And so every morning when I'm making my
Ooh, oh, that
coffee,
gives me goosebumps.
yes, I love that one. I've been working with that one for a while, but every morning I'm like getting my coffee and I'm making my toast and I'm reading this. I'm programming this into my brain. I'm open. I'm receiving. I'm ready. I'm open. I'm receiving. I'm ready. Instead of what I might be thinking instead of that is, why aren't things coming to me faster? And I don't know what I should do next. And it's just really easy. We're just hardwired to go to that place of like, I don't know. And what's the matter with me? And I'm
Yeah,
confused.
right.
How is
Right.
this all going to work out?
Yes,
And
when it seems like there's always a delay. Yeah, I know exactly
yes,
what you mean. Yeah,
yes.
yes.
So yeah,
That sounds like an awesome affirmation. Awesome
yes, yeah,
affirmation.
that's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
That's not even mine. I forget, always reading. Actually, Dawn, that's another huge practice for me. I am constantly reading
Oh, I do too.
and
I do
educating,
too. I love reading.
always.
Yes.
But I got that from a book. I got that affirmation from a book, and I wish I could remember which one, but I didn't pen that one myself, but it resonated with me. So
Yeah,
yeah, just,
absolutely. I'm always taking notes on things that inspire me and that resonate with my deep in my soul. Because I
yes.
know when that happens, that I'm on the right track with something and that it's worth retaining. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, how does your intuition bring you joy and personal empowerment? I would
Yeah.
love to hear more about that.
Yeah. Oh, I love that question, Dawn. I mean, I think it comes back to all those years journaling, and just having this experience over and over again where things felt off. I always say if something feels off, it probably is, pay
Mm,
attention. And I spent so many years, and it had to do with a lot of different things, how I was raised and my own self-esteem, and it goes on and on. But I spent so many years, things felt off, or when I would get a nudge to do something, maybe a nudge to do something creatively or to reach out to a person, and I just would always
yes.
ignore it. I'm like, that's silly. Why am I thinking that? Because we've all had that experience where you have that little nudge, you have that little knowing, and you talk yourself out of it. I had spent
Mm.
so many years talking myself out of and talking myself into relationships, jobs, careers,
Oh,
friendships.
wow.
And I
Yeah.
saw how that wasn't making me happy. I saw how it was like keeping me in a state of anxiety and low level depression and all of these
Mm.
things. So
Yes.
what brings me joy, Dawn, is that when I make that decision to say, even if it doesn't make sense exactly, or even if the nudge, yeah, even if that nudge or that knowing doesn't really make sense, or maybe other people won't really like it, I'm going to follow it no matter what. I'm going to follow it no matter what. And I have seen that directly correlate to a reduction in my own anxiety, to a
Yes.
state of this inner glow, like this inner light that has activated within me because I have started
Mm.
listening to it and honoring it. So,
Wow, that's awesome.
yeah,
That
so
is so
listening
awesome.
listening to your intuition activates joy.
Oh, it absolutely does. And you know what
Yeah.
I noticed too with my practice is that when I get an intuitive nudge, I often come to connection with spirit and I ask that same question over and over again. And when
Hmm.
I get that constant resonation that keeps coming
Yeah.
back, it's like I'm
Yes.
like, you know what? There's a track record going on here and I need to pay
Yeah.
very close attention to what I'm being told here and don't
Yes.
second guess myself.
Mm.
Exactly. That is so, so important. Thank you so much for sharing that, Aubry.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. So, in conclusion, with our wonderful time together, as we're talking about the power of intuition and knowing who you are and following that inner GPS, do you have a word for our listeners and viewers
Mm.
on how they can tap more directly into their intuition to build an authentic, creative, spiritual practice that just resonates and brings them joy?
Mm, a word. Well, there's so many words that come to mind, Dawn, but I'm just going to go with my intuition here as the first thing that came up. I think it's very just pertinent right now is, well, this is nature. Nature comes up, or return to nature. Like if you're looking to connect with your intuition in a deeper way, um, there's something really beautiful about carving time out to just get out in nature, away from everyone else. And I, you know, Mother Earth, Spirit, God, Source, the universe, whatever it is that you want to call
Yes.
it, it's like that is a way to connect fast and intimately to this source of knowledge that's beyond our understanding, that's available to all of us. And I think, yeah, just go sit under a tree, you
Yeah,
guys.
there you go. I know. I know. I love that so much because when I go for my walks in the morning, I always
Yeah.
go to my favorite tree and I share that with my friends and I love that connection. It gives me
Yeah.
so much inspiration and it teaches me things that I might not normally pick up on, you know what I'm saying? It's just
Yes.
such a delight to connect with nature and just the beauty of what's around us because it's so easy to get sucked into all the things that pull us away from it. So I
Yes.
love that as your word for our listeners and viewers, Aubry. That's
Yeah.
awesome, nature.
Yeah.
So
Nature.
guys, go check it out. Go take a walk in the woods or just be outside for a while. Go for
And
a bike
take
ride somewhere.
go for a bike ride. Take even better, take your journal with you. Go out in
Oh
nature and take
yes,
your
love
journal
that
with you
idea.
and
Love
see
that
what
idea.
comes
Take your
through.
journal with you and have some alone time to just write down the things that are inspiring you while you're sitting there, just enjoying and tapping in to that wonderful energy of
Yes.
aliveness that we get with nature.
I was just, Dawn, I want to jump in there because I was just thinking, I want to remember this, so I want to say it. But I love that
Oh,
you
you go
said that
ahead.
you kept coming back. Like we're not always going to know what our intuition is saying right this second. I love that you said you kept sort of bringing it to spirit and bringing it up again and again. And if it's a
Yes.
reoccurring knowing, like there's this maybe thinking that you're going to go out in nature and you're going to know what to do with the rest of your life. But it's sort of, I just love what you were saying, to just keep
Yes.
feeling it out, and over the course of whatever weeks or months, if you keep getting that same hit, you better listen.
Yeah, exactly. That's a
Yeah.
perfect ending to this wonderful conversation, Aubrey.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today
Yes.
and for sharing your wisdom and all of your practices. And I trust that the viewers and listeners will really get some inspiration from what we've shared today. And I'm so excited that you were able to join us. Aubry Hoffman is the founder of the Queen of Intuition podcast. Do check her out on Instagram. She has awesome stories that I love to watch every day. It's so much fun. And thank you so much, guys, for listening and for watching. And may joy find you in the most unexpected places.
Thank you so much for listening to Refresh Daily Podcast. If you would like to, you're welcome to subscribe to my YouTube channel at Dawn Herring, where you can get future episodes. You can also check it out on my website at dawnherring.net, and you're also welcome to subscribe to The Joy Finder, which is my weekly newsletter. And as a result of subscribing, you will also receive my brand new mini e-course, 3 Secret Keys to a More Joy-Filled Life. Thank you so much for listening and subscribing, and may joy find you in the most unexpected places.